So Purandara Dasaru belonged to a family which was very, very rich. It is mentioned in our history that Purandara Dasaru had actually given loan to Krishna Devaraya.
Wow.
So this had happened in our system, in our culture, in our history. So he was extremely, extremely rich. I think in 2002, one of our scholars, Dr. Arulmalage Parsarthi, he had been to the Middle East, and there when he was having conversation with the Sheikh, he made a mention of Purandara Dasaru, how rich he was. So that was converted in 2002. I don't know the actual figure now, but in 2002 it was 25,92,922 zillion US dollars, which is 114088554020549 followed by 24 zeros.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the wealth which was converted in 2002. And imagine just giving up on everything he had one overnight to become a dasa. He surely saw something that was more valuable in this.
Haridasa Vamsha Sanjaata Haridaasacharya Shri Sharat R Prabhath belongs to the lineage of Saint Poet Purandara Dasaru. He is the torchbearer of the sacred art form, Harikatha. Apart from being a Harikatha exponent, Sharat is also a trained Kathak dancer and a Karnatic vocalist. A multi-talented artist, Sharat has also made a mark as a director of dance musical, music composer, and a formidable choreographer. Tune into this fascinating podcast of history and significance of Harikatha, brought to you exclusively by Prana Stories. Namaskara, Sharat.
Namaste.
I am so happy and so lucky. You're on Prana Stories podcast.
Likewise.
And I know few highlights about you, like you're a multi-talented person, but we'll get to that on a later stage. But I want to specifically speak to you about you're a Harikatha exponent. Now, this word Harikatha, many people in Karnataka would have known it.
Right.
I don't know about what is it in North India, and do people really know what is Harikatha, and what happens in a Harikatha, and what kind of people come to listen to you, where does it happen? So these kind of things, if we can just straight away dive into it, and then as we go we can speak about you and what you do and stuff like that. Right. So yeah,
Harikatha is self-explanatory. Hari, the word Hari has multiple meanings. Some say 14, some say 25.
Okay.
So, but I think Harikatha is Harati iti Harihi.
What does that mean?
That means whatever force, the divine force which can destroy anything that is evil.
Okay.
A story on that is Harikatha.
Okay.
Katha is a story. So every state, every country has a format of storytelling now. Africa also has a format of storytelling, and India is a land of diversity, and every city, every village has a way of telling their stories. So in Karnataka, it is predominantly called Harikatha or Harikathe.
Okay.
Maharashtra, you have Katha Kirtan. You have, if you go upward, northward, there are many other formats of Sankirtan.
Okay.
So you can see Bhagavata Katha happening in Brijbhumi on a daily basis. So there are multiple sannyasis, multiple sadhus who are constantly talking about Bhagavata, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Radha Krishna. So Harikatha has been in our DNA. When I say our DNA, I don't talk about India. I mean humans.
Okay.
Because
basically it is storytelling.
Basically it is storytelling because we communicate. That is one thing, avatu maam, avatu vaktaram. So it is very clearly said. You protect me and protect the one who is talking. So it is very, very important for us because our Vedas also talk about being grateful for having the ability to speak and communicate. So like Panini says, Adau Bhasha and then grammar.
Okay.
So the language developed first and then the grammar came into place. Similarly, I would say the Katha developed first, storytelling developed first, and then Puranas came into picture.
Okay.
So
it was not the other way.
It was not the other way.
Okay.
It was not the other way.
So okay, let me debunk my own things that I had in mind. I always thought Harikatha is always stories of Vishnu, but it is in general way, it is anything that destroys evil.
Correct.
That is Hari.
Yes.
And that is the story of it. That's the
meaning.
That's the myth that I had. It's always the story about Vishnu is what I had. Lord Vishnu is what I always had. That is one. Now you're saying, and I also thought that there were Puranas that were written, and in order to communicate the Puranas, this format of Harikatha was taken. That is what my thought was. But you're saying Puranas came after.
Correct.
And the stories were anyways told.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, go on.
So see, we always say Shruti and Smriti. We did not have the lipi culture. We didn't have the documentation culture before. So everything was heard, remembered, and then expressed. You can start from the Vedas. The first Kirtana was done by Brahma.
Okay.
Lord Brahma has praised Lord Vishnu, the Veda Purusha himself. So that is again Shruti and Smriti. So your guru taught you, you memorized that, and then you represented that. So that's how it is. So the representation of stories is in our culture. And later on it took documentation. There was a documentation phase. It later on took the style of lipi, of a text. And now, it's very saddening that our work now is to protect and preserve and treasure these works. So, but earlier that was not the case.
Okay.
It was
just natural. Passed down from generation.
It was very natural, from generation to generation. Like how a grandmother could, sit a grandchild down and tell a story. This is how Rama won. And we also read in Leela Shuka how Yashoda was narrating Ramayana to Krishna. And Krishna would repeat after every sentence. And in the end he fell asleep, and then Krishna started shouting, Lakshmana, where is my bow? Bring my bow. When Sita was kidnapped. So this is there in our culture. I mean, storytelling is very, very natural, for us human beings.
Right. So I understand in families or in personal level, like my grandmother used to tell me stories. Likewise, there are so many things that happen from mother to son and father to son or whatever, right? It happens in families. But when you call this as a Harikatha event, or somebody like a Bhagavaturu coming in, or a Pandit coming and sitting there, and from where did that start? I mean, why was it important? Or did it start in a temple, or where that happened?
See, again, we'll have to go back in time to the Vedic times. We cannot date precisely, but I would say let's keep it for the ease of math. Let's say 10,000 years from now. So in I think in Krishna Yajurveda, it is very clearly mentioned. Every yaga had performances. Every yaga had storytelling. Udakumbha, Nadinidaya, Dasyo, Parinrityanti, Pado Nignanti, Ima Maduro Gayantyo. So it is said that when any yaga took place, there were these women folk who used to carry pots of water, and they used to clean the place, the altar, and then they used to perform. And it was believed that once they perform, once the performance is done, once the storytelling is done, it becomes more pure.
Okay.
So it's very beautifully said. And also, see, even Mahabharata for that matter, after the Satra Yaga, which happens for 12 years, then Ugrashravas comes, and then these people ask him, you were not here, you were going around, what did you see? What are the stories that you want to share with us? Then Ugrashravas talks about Janamejaya, what he heard there in the Sarpa Yajna, and that is how Mahabharata is told.
Okay.
Be it Shukamuni who said Bhagavata Purana, that was also told. Even Vedas, for that matter, all the 4 rishis that Vyasa told was oral. So every yaga, I would say this started with yaga. So if there was yaga, there was also entertainment. If there was yaga, there was also, with rituals, there was also storytelling. With rituals, there was also music. Because Veena Vadana Tattvajnaha Shruti Jati Visharadaha Prayasena Moksha Margam Niyachati.
Okay.
So a normal person who is a layman, who is not a musician or an artist, he'll have to work really, really very hard to find his way through. But for an artist, it's very, very easy. With just his art and with an honest attempt of practice and riyaz, he can attain salvation, is what our Shastras say.
Okay.
So, Katha tradition was an imperative part of Yajna or Yagashale, wherever it happened. Even today, after Yaga, we do tell stories. Sangeeta Priya, Sangeetam Samarpayami, Purana Priya, Puranam Samarpayami, Nritya Seva Samarpayami. Every Yaga has this, every puja has this even today. So that is how it began. And I think later on it flowered, it blossomed and found its own way. A lot of Bhagavatas, the priests, again, we'll have to, it's a little controversial, but then the Varna system where the Brahmin priests were not allowed to earn. The only thing they were supposed to do was adhyayana, studies, and preaching and taking care of the temple, which is an extremely difficult job because you're not allowed to earn money. This is how you're supposed to lead your life. Guna karma vibhagashaha, Krishna says in Gita. So these priests, they used to take care of the temple, and after the puja, when people sat down, they were telling the stories. And the objective was very, very clear, to uplift every listener spiritually. That was the only objective, to add value to our lives. They have said many things. I mean, there are stories that you cannot believe. They don't come across like a true, like a historic story or a situation. But the objective there was only value. This happened. Prahlada, if you jump from the terrace shouting Narayana save me, you will definitely fall dead.
Yeah.
But then we talk about Prahlada, who believed in God, who had this faith. When we say he spoke against his father, we should not just consider him as father.
Right.
He was the government.
Yeah.
How difficult.
Establishment.
Yeah, he was the established. He was the establishment. He was the king.
Yeah.
And king of the entire planet. It was not just Bharatavarsha. So when Prahlada, a small boy, he spoke back to Hiranyakashipu, it was contesting against the government. So and his own son doing that. And that needed enormous amount of faith, very, very pure faith, which was not maligned at all. So with that faith, Prahlada, Lord Vishnu took an avatara for Prahlada because he had that amount of faith in him. So when we listen to such stories, we kind of develop faith in ourselves. We think, okay, if I do good, I have someone to protect me.
Yeah.
If I do bad, I have someone to punish me. So that way you're creating a norm in the society. That is what is Ruta, where you create an order.
The dharma, which is called.
Yeah, correct. So this was the objective of storytelling, and that is the reason in Harikatha, they always say Harikatha, you should consider Harikatha. I personally consider Harikatha as an art form. If you want to find out if this is factual, if this is written in our Puranas, if this is written in Mahabharata, I won't dwell on such things.
Okay.
Because my objective is, of course, I'll not be fabricating, I'll not be changing the story. I'll take the story and I'll narrate the story in my own way. With an undercurrent of education and a mask of entertainment, with the only pure objective of spiritual upliftment.
Okay.
Making someone lose themselves for 90 minutes. Or let's say 2 hours. So that is the only objective there.
So then the objective is there to spiritually uplift people, but you still want to, an art form used to achieve that. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But then earlier that was not the case. It was done with the purpose of the what you're saying is the Brahmins used to actually make the stories available to the general audience who used to come to the yagna, and that is what they used to do.
Yeah, Brahmins not by birth, Brahmins by practice.
By practice. Yeah. That's what our Varna
Ashrama also talks about.
You're not someone just by birth.
Correct.
You can practice and you
can. Yeah. We have plenty of examples for
right.
that. Yeah.
I mean, even if you're born a Brahmin, you can still behave like a totally, not so knowledgeable, not civilized also. So that is also that's there. So now you said you treat Harikatha as an art form.
Correct.
Right. So what kind of stories do you sort of tell? Is it dependent on the situation, and what is it like? How does it go?
Yeah, it is totally dependent on the occasion, on the situation, because I have presented stories from Mahabharata, from Bhagavata, from Ramayana, and from other Puranas. And I've also done a storytelling session on like I think around 48 to 49 episodes on Purandara Dasaru
Okay.
for Doordarshan. And I have done a very interesting story on the science behind Indian wedding.
Oh, okay.
This was for a British couple.
Interesting.
They were very, very interested in the Sanatana tradition. So they came down to Bangalore. Their wedding happened in ISKCON, Bangalore, and they got married in the proper Shastric way of Sanatana Dharma, and they wanted to know the science behind Indian wedding.
Okay.
And the art form that they chose was Harikatha. They said, you perform, it will also be entertaining with music, with dance, with acting, and also tell us the science behind Indian wedding.
Can you just briefly tell about what is the science behind Indian wedding?
Amazing.
Many people will be interested.
Yeah, there are amazing facts about our Indian wedding. See, a Pani Grahana, for example.
What is Pani Grahana?
Pani Grahana is when the guy and the girl, they hold hands together, which talks about Anugala Sakhya. So we're going to remain friends.
Okay.
So this is the symbol of friendship.
Okay.
So they promise in front of, and why in our tradition is this samskara of vivaha given such an importance in the presence of so many people? We talk today that it has become a business.
Yeah.
Why do you need so many people? Why do you need your friends, your family, and your extended family, this, that? You haven't even spoken to them in your life, but then you invite them because you are taking an oath and you want those people to be sakshi. They are all the witnesses. You have agreed to take care of each other in front of all these people. So it is a very scientific, very, very scientific approach. And we have this, Arundhati Vasishta Darshana. So after the wedding, the priest takes the couple outside and shows the sky towards Arundhati Vasishta, two twin taras, two twin stars. A lot of them, even I didn't know the reason, the significance behind this. So once I was researching about Indian wedding, I understood that Arundhati Vasishta are the two stars that revolve around each other.
Okay.
Both the stars. So they are showing this. So we also have in Sanskritam Arundhati Vasishta Nyaya.
Okay.
Like how you have Suchikata Nyaya and many other Nyayas.
The laws, you mean?
The laws.
Okay.
So just by that one liner, you'll understand the Nyaya, the intent behind it. So Arundhati Vasishta says, a husband and wife should always be like that, complementing each other, revolving around each other.
Wow.
And the Antarpata, the Darshana of the guy and the girl, and the Saptapadi, which has, which is very, very, very evident, which is very, very significant even today. Because now ಆಡ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 7 ಜೋಡ್ ಜನ್ಮಕ್ಕೂ ನೀನೇ ನನಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. So Saptapadi is about that. And it's fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know, because Mangalya Dharana has not been given that importance in our culture. It is a later addition.
What is the difference? I mean, Mangalya Dharana is, for me it is like that is the...
Now it has become that because of thanks to cinema.
Okay.
But in our granthas, that is not given at most importance.
Okay.
So
then what is given importance?
Pani Grahana, Saptapadi.
Okay, that is
These are the real, rituals that need to be done for a marriage, for a successful marriage. So Mangalya Dharana is a Saumangala Vidhi, as in you see a girl wearing kunkuma here, you see a girl wearing earrings, and you see a girl wearing Mangalya. Immediately you understand it's like in the northern side of our country they call them Mataji. So it is a Sumangala Darshana, that's all. Sumangala, these are the ornaments that talk about a girl's status, which was also done for her protection.
So, many of these rituals that were done before, right? Now, yes, weddings have become like a status symbol, more than anything. And you throw in a lot of money and then you do certain rituals. And the value of all of these rituals, which is deep-rooted in so many meanings, they have we have lost
faded
it.
away, diluted.
Faded away.
Over time,
And then now people are asking questions on the rituals itself because they don't understand the depth of it.
Right.
I mean, one of the questions that in one of the podcasts that I had discussed with someone is also, I don't know whether the science is only what you discuss is only about the wedding or like married life.
Married life also. Married life also. I mean, those Saptapadi, the 7 promises that they talk about, so that is for the life.
Okay.
For a married life, for a long married life, happy married life.
Okay.
So everything, one thing I have understood in our system, in our civilization, is nothing is done without any reason.
Yeah.
If you don't know the reason, then you are a fool.
Right.
And if you're not trying to know the reason, again you're a fool.
So then let's digress a little bit from what our main topic is. So then there was a question that was sort of discussed. It was not my question, but even I have that question. That today when girls ask, why should I go to a guy's house, to a male's house after wedding? Why can't
the guy come?
Why can't what was the reason for it? So I got a different answer from someone else, but I would like to know what was that.
Yeah, I mean, even like considering the current scenario, it is not wrong for the guy to go to a girl's house. But earlier, back in those days, see, it was very, very, precisely communicated, definitive, that a guy goes out to work and a girl takes care of the house. So the guy used to earn, whatever the guy earned was given to the girl. So she was the home minister, she was the finance minister, she was the women and child care minister, everything. So it was, we always say, ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಮಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಮನೆಗೆ ದೀಪ ಹಚ್ತಾಳೆ, ಸೊಸೆಯಾಗಿ ಹೋದಾಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮನೆನ ಬೆಳಗ್ತಾಳೆ ಅಂತ. So
you can explain that.
Yeah, so it is very, very evident that the moment a girl walks in as a wife or as a sister or as a mother, there is some hope in life. This cannot be described. This is an experience which should be experienced. You cannot explain that. So if there is, for me personally, like when I get back home, if I see my mother, I'm happy. If I don't see her, I'm not happy. So it's very, very, it's experiential, and you cannot explain that. So having a girl come over to your house as a wife was treated as a positive woman. Was treated as a symbol of prosperity. The moment this girl walked into the guy's house, it was believed that the guy's house will prosper more now. And that's the reason she is called Lakshmi. A guy is not called Lakshmi.
Right.
He's not, only during the wedding he's called Narayana, where the father-in-law falls to your feet, he washes your feet, but that's only for that occasion. And after that, it's the girl who's always called Lakshmi. And we have this practice. If you go to middle class families, if there is any new equipment, let's say a new computer or a new TV or a new gaadi that comes to your place, it is the girl who inaugurates it. It is the girl who applies the tilaka to it. It is the girl who removes the drishti, and it is the girl who rides the bike first. So even today we practice that at our house.
Right.
Whatever new, if there is anything new that we are doing, it's a practice at our place that it's done by our mother, now by my sister-in-law. So only these two are the ones who get the first opportunity to do that.
So when you are looking at it as an opportunity, that's a different perspective. Correct. But today, that's not looked at as an opportunity.
I know.
It is looked at as discrimination.
Correct.
Why only a girl has to do? It is looked at it in that perspective.
Correct.
That perspective has changed over the years in terms of, because industrialization happened and women started working and all that, right? That has changed a lot. But obviously these rituals, these traditions had a meaning then. Right now it doesn't hold good in the current society that we are in. But some few people who are like the older generations are trying to sort of fit in, and that is where the conflicts are happening. That this is how it used to be, now you're not doing it and stuff like that. That's where I think the conflicts are happening, I think.
Yeah, I mean, also trying to, I don't understand why anyone should be equal to the other. The beauty of this creation is to be unique.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the moment we try to equate ourselves, be it cerebral, be it opportunity-wise, whatever, there is another artist, there is another dancer, let's say a male dancer who is flourishing well, doing better than me, then I should be happy. I mean, he is unique in his own way. Maybe he cannot do what I can do, or I cannot do what he can do. So the moment we start equating, be it gender, be it age, be it race or whatever, so that is where the problem starts. A girl is different, unique, and very, very beautiful in her own way. The same with the guy. He's different, unique, and beautiful in his own way. So we should just leave it at that. The moment you start, I should be like a boy, I should be like a girl, I should get the same amount of this, that is where confusion starts. I mean, you're made different. And the moment you try to equate yourself in any possible way, not just cerebral, I'm saying financial, whatever it is, why do you do that? There is no need for that.
Right.
That is, I don't think there is a need for that.
Yeah, I think the genuine people who talk about all of this is what they want in terms of equality is access.
True. That is true.
Access to all things.
Correct.
Which are discriminatory.
Correct.
Access needs to be there.
Correct.
But as an individual, you are different.
True.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cerebral and whatever it is.
Yeah.
See, for example, I have an access to use a public transport. I can be safe.
Yeah.
And the same thing should be given to a girl also.
Right.
That way there should be equality.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is...
biologically you are different.
Biologically you're different.
Cerebrally you are different. Yeah.
So you don't have to, because personally I would be okay if my, let's say my sister earns more than me, or maybe in future my wife earns more than me. I'll be very, very happy for her. I would support her more. So there I should not, this toxic masculinity should not pitch in there.
Right.
So
I think that's what the misuse has happened there.
True.
Because of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I think the misuse has happened there, and then it's like, I was talking to one of the guests here, Rama Venugopal, and we were talking about the Devadasi system, which was there. Just because they had a different life in terms of
their choice,
selling themselves with their bodies and all that, but just because of that the entire temple system was wiped out. True. I mean, today we have the Me Too movement. That too happens in corporates everywhere, but does that mean that corporates are taken off? No, right? It's so
that's a good point.
That happened only with the temples. Why, right? Even today in corporates, all these things happen. All the abuse and everything. That doesn't mean that you're taking off the company itself. That is what happened with our temple. So it's quite...
See, it's like you cannot wake the person who's fake sleeping.
Right.
It's like that. I mean, it was an organized, very well thought of, strategized movement done by mostly British, who broke our skeleton, who broke our spine.
Correct.
So calling temples as places that discriminate. And
even gender discrimination was brought by them, because we never had...
We never had that.
Because like you said, our traditions were giving more importance to the women. Right? And then not only the British, the other invaders who started
also,
coming in, started looking at them like flesh.
True.
That's what started happening. And then you wanted to protect them.
Exactly, and that is why shaving the heads of widows started. That is why the widows were made unattractive. And that is why the Ghungar system came into picture. The problem arises when people think this is what our ancestors did.
Correct.
As Sahaja Dharma. That was not Sahaja Dharma. It was reactive. It was done only to protect ourselves, our women, our children. So now if it becomes a Sahaja Dharma, and that is when now things have opened up, and now you should understand that these things don't hold good. They don't come across like significant practices.
Correct.
And that is when we should change. That is when we should evolve, and that is the meaning of Sanatana, where there is constant scope for evolvement.
Right.
And if you stop evolving, you cannot call this Sanatana. It becomes stagnated.
Sanatana itself is eternal.
Eternal, yeah.
Eternally changing.
Correct.
Eternally evolving.
Correct.
Okay, we digressed. Now let's come back to the main topic. You mentioned you did some 45 episodes of Purandara Dasaru.
Correct.
Now, I also learnt that you are from the lineage of Purandara Dasaru. Do you want to talk about him and then how the lineage and how did you, I mean, what do you, I mean, obviously, I think you would look up to him as a as the guru, right? So maybe who is Purandara Dasa? From where did he start and something like that? That will be interesting to know.
Yeah, so this I think dates back to 6th century, early 5th or 6th century, the time of Mayura Varma.
Okay.
So this is a historical document which talks about a Yaga that he did in 6th or 7th century, and for him to do that, he wanted, for the Ashwamedha Yajna, he wanted really learned priests and families that could take care of his dynasty, of his kingdom.
Okay.
And bring
Mayura
Varma.
Okay.
So
this is of the Mayura dynasty, or which Kadambas.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So Mayura, when he wanted to do this yajna, so he invited 64 families from Kashmir.
Okay.
Which is till date called Arvatnalag Vokkalu in Kannada.
Okay.
So 64 families were invited to the southern part, and Mayura actually ruled a larger portion of our country, and unfortunately 4 families couldn't survive the journey.
Okay.
So 60 families reached the destination, and each family was given a different job title.
Okay.
By the king, and one such family is of Purandara Dasaru. One such family is of Guru Raghavendra Swamigalu.
Oh.
So Bigamudra, Suvarna Bandar, Maidala, there are many other families like that. And every family had their own responsibilities to take care of. So
you're saying Purandara Dasaru he came from Kashmir?
Yeah, the roots are from Kashmir. This is
okay.
what one of the text talks about.
Nice. Okay.
So, and it flourished. I mean, that kingdom flourished, and the same families then migrated to Vijayanagar Empire.
Okay.
They were all very closely associated with Krishna Devaraya and Vyasa Tirtha. There were 2 different segments. One was Vyasa and the other one was Dasa. So these families, they built empires. These families helped in building empires because these were the IAS officers.
Okay, that time.
Back then, yeah. They were the Mantri Jana and IAS officers who advised the king. They were the counselors. So they built the empire, and then later on the flourishing actually happened during the times of Vijayanagar Empire.
So King Mayura was at which location?
This entire thing.
No,
Deccan.
You said these Dasas then went into Vijayanagar is what you said.
So Hampi, this time.
They settled in Vijayanagar.
They settled in Vijayanagar during the 13th, 14th century, 15th century.
Okay.
And Vyasa Tirtha, who was the protagonist, he is the reason why we should be grateful to him, because it is because of him that we have Karnataka Shastriya Sangeeta, Carnatic music.
Oh.
It is because of him that we have our traditions still alive. It is because of him that we have all our ancestral works intact. So Guru Vyasa Tirtha was the Rajaguru for 6 emperors. And Krishna Devaraya also was his disciple.
Wow.
And he started 2 segments, Vyasa and Dasa. So Vyasa were the ones who was... everyone was celebrated, everyone was learned scholars, but Vyasa cult had Swamijis, sannyasis. For example, Vadiraja Tirtha, who's in Sonda Mata. Even today we go and worship. There is a Vrindavan of Vadirajaru.
Okay.
So Vadiraja was a disciple of Vyasa Tirtha. So he was in the Vyasa segment. And Dasa segment had Purandara Dasaru, Kanaka Dasaru, and Achyuta Dasaru, Vaikuntha Dasaru, and many other Dasaru.
Why did he create this sort of tool?
Because Vyasas, their responsibility was to stick on to our ancestral works, work on Shastras, create works, Bhashya, commentaries in Sanskrit.
Okay.
Dasas, their responsibility was to simplify the same in Kannada language.
Okay.
So the same thing, what they were working on Brahma Sutras, they were working on Upanishads, they were working on many other works. The same works were said in Sarala Kannada, very, very simple Kannada. So that was the job given by Vyasa Tirtharu.
Okay.
So the leading man there was Purandara Dasaru, and also we had Kanaka Dasaru, an amazing intellectual scholar.
Yeah.
So, and also a Drashtara, he was also an Anubhavi who was realized. So Purandara Dasaru belonged to a family which was very, very rich. It is mentioned in our history that Purandara Dasaru had actually given loan to Krishna Devaraya.
Wow.
Imagine a person giving loan to the Reserve Bank of India.
Right.
So this had happened in our system, in our culture, in our history. So he was extremely rich. I think in 2002, one of our scholars, Dr. Arulmalage Parsarthi, he had been to the Middle East, and there when he was having conversation with the Sheikh, he made a mention of Purandara Dasaru, how rich he was. So he was called Navakoti Narayana, Purandara Dasaru. So that was converted in 2002. I don't know the actual figure now, but in 2002 it was 25,92,922 zillion US dollars, which is 114088554020 followed by 24 zeros.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the wealth which was converted in 2002.
That is one person's wealth.
That was Purandara Dasaru's wealth.
Imagine how many people, how many more people like this had existed in that era.
Yeah, totally. And imagine just giving up on everything he had one overnight to become a Dasa. He surely saw something that was more valuable in this.
Wow. Oh, he gave up all of this?
Yeah, he gave up everything. One overnight.
Okay.
Because of one episode that happened in his life.
What was that episode?
So there was this Brahmin who visited Purandara Dasaru with his child. Garbhashtameshu Brahmanam Upanayanitam. So Upanayana has to happen in Garbhashtama, 7.5 years of age. So, and Upanayana is a very, very essential samskara. Upanayana, as in going towards closer to the knowledge system. That is the meaning of it. And it is again not caste based.
Yeah.
So he goes to Purandara Dasaru. He says, this is my son and I'm planning to do his Upanayana. I need money for it. So he lends some money which was denotified. So, and
Unsecured
loan and demonetized currency. And he gives that. And then, you can add more flavors to it to make it more humorous. But somehow... he says, if you give me something that you have, I can lend you money. So this man, this Brahmin, he lends him a no-spin, Muguti. This Purandara Dasaru was an amazing goldsmith. He was very, very apt and very, 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 very good at his subject. So he was very skillful. The moment he sees that no-spin, he realizes that this no-spin belongs to his wife.
Oh.
So Saraswati Bai and Gautami also was her name. So he asks the Brahmin and also his son to be seated. He goes back to his house and he sees that his wife is not wearing the nose-pin. So he asks her, get your nose-pin, I need to see that. I need it for a reason. When she cannot lie. So she says, it's inside, I've kept it somewhere, I don't know. Then he says, I need it now. Then unable to bear the embarrassment, unable to face her husband, she goes to the puja room and she weeps and she pours poison into a bowl and she drinks poison. But for her astonishment, she finds the same nose-pin in the bowl. This is the story.
Okay.
So she gets before drinking the poison, she feels
gets
it.
that.
Yeah. So she goes to Purandara Dasaru. She says, "See, here you go. This is the nose-pin you were asking for." So he takes the nose-pin and he's confused now. So he goes back. He goes back to the shop and he finds that the Brahmin is not there. And he opens his locker to see if the nose-pin is there. The nose-pin is also lost.
Okay.
This nose-pin that he has in his hand was given to him by his wife.
Yeah.
So, Yatta Podanamma, Viprana Yalli Hudukalamma, Muttina Brahmana, Muttina Muguti, Yatta Podanamma, he writes. Purandara Dasaru. Where did he go? So he, without wearing his footwear, he runs in every street of his city, looking for this man who came from nowhere and he just left. He just disappeared.
Yeah.
And he sees that this Brahmin is walking towards the temple. So he runs behind him, and the moment he enters the temple, that man is again missing.
Okay.
So Purandara Dasaru, also we hear that he had a Swapna Darshana also, where Lord Venkateshwar himself came as this Brahman. Yeah, in the disguise of a Brahman. So that is when he realizes, and that is when he writes, Indina dinave shubhadinavo, Indina vara shubhavara, Indu Purandara Vitadana, this song, which is very, very popular. So he writes, so he says, this is the day I'm going to give up on all the arrogance, all the possessions, all the assets that I have. I'm going to become a Haridasa.
Okay.
I'm going to lead a life begging alms.
Okay.
So that is when he becomes Purandara Dasa from Nayaka. He was called Nayaka. From Purandara Nayaka, he becomes Purandara Dasa. Senappa Nayaka, Srinivasa was his name. So, and imagine, after becoming Purandara Dasa, he writes 4,75,000 songs. And he's called the father of Karnatic music because he started we also have Venkatamukhi ji who did the Melakarta system, but from Maya Malagala, which is the 15th Melakarta raga, and starting Sarale Verse and the chain of swaras, which we call Alankara in Hindustani system. So he created this, he created the Gitas, Gita, Shri Gananatha and Kariyaniranu Keriga Challi, and many other such wonderful works that he has created. But unfortunately, after the fall of Vijayanagar Empire, everything was destroyed, everything was burnt, and Purandara Dasa's kritis were also burnt. So it is a sad thing that people say, scholars opine that we have only 2,000 songs of Purandara Dasaru. He had composed 4,75,000 songs, which he has only written in one of his works. This is my 4,75th song.
Oh, he has mentioned that.
Yeah. 4,75,000 song is this.
Wow.
So it was burnt, and after 150 years, the same Purandara Dasaru is seen in the dream of Vijay Dasaru. So there is Chipkiri, Vijay Dasaru, who lived in Chipkiri, which is closer to Mantralaya, the belt of Raichur, and so that's also another fantastic place. And Vijay Dasaru saw him in his swapna, in his dream, and he went across the length and breadth of this country to collect all the works of Purandara Dasaru. Okay. So whatever work we have of Purandara Dasaru today is because of Vijay Dasaru.
Okay. So Purandara Dasaru also travelled.
Oh yeah, they led a nomadic life.
Right.
The moment he gave up on his possessions, he became a nomad.
Okay. Let me understand it better. Now, I'm going back to the timeline. You said Mayura, the King Mayura brought in 60 people from Kashmir.
Families.
60 families from Kashmir. They were like businessmen?
No, they were all priests. I mean, they were skillful at many things.
Okay. And many things.
Yeah.
And then from that family...
one family is of Purandara
Dasa. Now, how was he so rich?
Because, and that's what some say, the Suvarna Bandhar family was of Purandara Dasa's ancestors.
Okay, they
handled the treasury of the kings.
Okay, that's why he knew something about things about gold.
Right. And they also had the tact of marketing. It is also Belur Keshav Das very with authority he writes that Purandara Dasaru had his market in foreign lands. He had businessmen visit him from different countries. Belur Keshav Das writes this. So and Vijay Dasaru had a son. Then he adopted another son, and he is the one who actually after the invasion, after everything went in vain, it was Vijay Dasaru who rebuilt it. Vijay Dasaru and then Tyagaraja Swami, Dikshita, the Trinities, they all came one after the other. So Vijay Dasaru, he started the cult of Haridasas once again. And
this is after 150 years.
Yeah. Okay. After 100 years of Purandara Dasaru's lifetime.
Okay.
So 150 years, and then things started flourishing. And I am fortunate that I belong to the bloodline of Vijay Dasaru's son. Okay. So that is how we are related. Okay. And Purandara Dasaru's family, as in I belong to the legacy of Purandara Dasaru, Shishya Parampara. Okay. But the familial bond, the family relationship is with Vijay Dasaru.
Okay.
who was an Aparoksha Jnani, who has solved many people's issues, like Gopala Dasaru also. He was a healer.
Okay.
Jagannatha Dasaru, we read about Jagannatha Dasaru. Probably he had a fatal cancerous issue with his stomach, because he was extremely arrogant. He was very well read.
Okay.
Very, very well read, and extremely arrogant, and he didn't respect Vijay Dasaru or Gopal Dasaru when they came to his house. And he also lied that he had a stomachache. He couldn't have lunch with them, have prasada with them.
Okay.
So that one lie turned into becoming a reality, where he had a very fatal stomach issue, which was then healed by Vijay Dasaru and Gopal Dasaru.
Okay.
And that is when Jagannatha Dasaru became Jagannatha Dasaru. And that is when, for him, it was, Kannada was, not for a scholar like me.
Okay.
I speak in Sanskrit. I write in Sanskrit.
Okay.
I am this.
Okay.
He had this arrogance. And then he became Jagannatha Dasaru, and he wrote one of the finest works of our Kannada literature, which is Harikatha Apart.
Wow. Okay.
In Kannada.
Wow. So any immediate children of Purandara Dasaru is not known?
Not known.
Okay.
As in the history?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, he had 4 sons.
4 sons.
Yeah, Hemana Dasa, Lakshmana Dasa. There are inscriptions about them.
Okay.
Yajushaka, Vasishtha Gotra, the inscription is there.
Okay, but they didn't continue what he...
They did.
They did?
Yeah, they did continue, and that legacy went on.
Okay.
But again, they were, because of invasions and because of a lot of other issues,
Lost.
They were lost. And
one of their sons or grandsons is Vijay Dasaru?
Don't know. I mean, you can't say that.
You can't say. Okay.
Maybe it is.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it is true. I don't know.
Okay.
Because Vijay Dasaru doesn't mention about that. He says he had a swapna, he had a dream.
Okay.
He saw Purandara Dasaru command him.
Okay.
My works are lost. It's your duty to collect them and give it back to the society again.
And so from Vijay Dasaru, you're like the great
Yeah, we have Dodbalapura Ramadasaru, we have Deepada Annaya Dasaru, and many such people. It finally comes down to Ramadasaru, who was my great grandfather's maternal uncle, who was an Avaduta, who was a Aparoksha Jnani. So, and my great grandfather Venkana Das was called the Harikatha Surya, who was an Asthana Vidwan, and also a cousin of Mysore Vasudevacharya, who was an Asthana Vidwan of Mysore Palace. Mysore Vasudevacharya is Brocheva Reverura.
Yeah.
So he's also related to our family, and Venkana Das was his name, and his younger brothers, all of them were Harikatha performers. One of whose names is Venugopal Das, who was his younger brother, and Venugopal Das was an avid reader, an amazing learned scholar who has worked on Sanskrit, who has worked on many other works of our ancestors, and his works are considered as research work, which is used for reference even today at places like Vidyapita.
Okay.
So, and Venkana Das's sons, 4 sons, Karigiri Achar, Gopinath Das, Jaisimha Das, and Dwarkanath, they founded the now famous Prabhath organization.
Okay.
So out of the 4 brothers, 2 were Harikatha exponents, Gopinath Das and Jaisimha Das. I am the grandson of Jaisimha Das.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So even my father used to perform Harikatha. But that was the time, 70s, 80s, 90s were the time of revolution, where these things were called noise pollution. These things were called, Harikatha was called noise pollution.
Okay.
And it's a sad thing that people, even today, it is used like in a very negative connotation, even in movies. If someone is talking a lot, they say, Nilsapan in Harikatha. Negative connotation.
Yeah.
And this happened, I think this happened because of the communist movement and the Maoist movement in the 70s, 80s and 90s. And
against
anything that was
right.
anything that was Sanatana, and Harikatha unfortunately lost its sheen, and it's fortunate now. It's I'm very happy that it's regained its value, and people really, I feel very fortunate to be one of the very few Harikatha exponents who has sold Harikatha shows with premium price tickets of 1,000 rupees.
Wow.
and have a house full in a theatre like Rabindra Kalakshetra.
Wow.
Around 900 capacity. People have paid to watch Harikatha. And I've done online shows where people have bought tickets on Book My Show, 500, 600 rupees, to watch Harikatha performance, which is costlier than any other Bollywood movie or Hollywood movie.
Right.
So now we are going there, which is a good direction. This is what I think.
Okay, nice. So then now that you have sort of given a brief of your lineage and all that, I can imagine how your childhood would have been, right? I mean, you already have such lineage in you that it automatically, naturally came to you, right? So, but then in terms of training, in terms of what you went through, what did you study and how did you, can you just give a picture of your childhood?
Sure. So storytelling was very natural, very organic in our house because it was a family of 64 people living together.
Wow.
A giant joint family in Vishveshwarapura, Jain Temple Street. We were 64 of us living together.
Okay.
And so it was a giant joint family of 64 people, first cousins, second cousins, all of us living together. And apart from that, we had more than 25 to 30 artists coming over every morning. All of us used to have breakfast, lunch, dinner together.
Wow.
And we also had around 20 to 25 technicians who stayed with us.
Wow.
Behind our house. We had a separate
unit for them.
There was a
So
separate
this family of 64 was headed by who?
The four brothers.
The four brothers.
So the ones who founded
The
Prabhath
Okay.
organization.
The names are?
Karigiri Acharya, Gopinath Das, Jaisimha Das and Dwarkanath.
Okay. All these four people and their families.
Their families.
Wow. Okay.
So, but unfortunately, I have not seen any of my grandfathers. Only Dwarkanath I have seen. I've spoken with him, played with him. So it was that was a. If I have to give you a picture, it was a microcosm of India. There was so much variety. There was so much diversity. There were, the house did not, the main door did not have a lock. I'm not making this up. The main door actually did not have a lock.
This is in Bangalore.
This is in Bangalore.
How many years ago was this? Maybe
till 98.
98.
Till 98.
Wow.
The main door did not have a lock, and ours was the only house that had a public phone, which the entire area's people used. Okay, so the door was always open, and the kitchen was always working. Great stars, including Dr. Rajkumar, they have visited our house because we had a studio set up. We had a recording studio, the first recording studio of Karnataka, by the way. And we had a costume wing. We had rehearsal space. We had office space. We had our Prabhath Enterprise, which was lights and sound and everything.
Yeah.
We had everything in that under the same roof. So there were people, like, you could see how you see outside a temple, like hundreds of footwears lying around. You could see that at our place. And I used to feel like an alien sometimes. I was a kid and I didn't know whom to go. And if I had to ask for something, I didn't know whom should I contact. Because Appa, Amma, both of them were busy. Amma is a very senior dancer, Bharatanatyam guru, and my father was taking care of Prabhath, and they were busy, and they were extremely busy. So, and it was like, you could see people playing carom, you could see people playing table tennis, you could see people singing, sitting in one corner singing, someone playing harmonium, someone practicing tabla, someone practicing mridanga. And one of our grandmothers, the sister of the four brothers, Draupadi was her name. We used to call her Draupadi Ajji, Draupadamma, who was also a teacher. So she was the one who took care of us. So she fed us every day, lunch, dinner. So every time, whenever we were eating, all the cousins, all of us, she told us stories.
Wow. Okay.
She made us sing. Shishu Gita, which is rhymes, was done in Kannada by my grandfathers.
Okay.
So ಮಳೆ ಬಂತು ಮಳೆ ಕೊಡೆ ಹಿಡಿದು ನಡೆ ಜಾರಿ ಬಿದ್ದೆ ಕೊಂಚ ತಾಳು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಳೆ. So these songs were done because we had a school called Prabhat Shishu Vihara. So all the top cinema personalities studied in the school. And I used to be seated in the veranda and I used to see Annavaru just go like that. and Anantnag, and all the top personalities. We had Advani ji who came to our house. We had spiritual fountainheads like Swami Rama who had come to our house. I still have a picture of Swami Rama carrying me. So,
wow.
Pandit Ravi Shankar, Balmurli Krishna ji used to record at a studio regularly. Ilayaraja sir has come. So this was the scenario. Okay, and I didn't start my training in that house. Maybe all of us, everyone in my family is an artist. All of us absorbed it unknowingly.
Yeah.
It was involuntary for us, and we didn't even realize how we absorbed it.
Correct. Yeah.
So then because of space constraints, we had to move out. So we all moved out, and we are still continuing.
It is your
entire family.
Okay.
We did not have space to live.
Okay.
After my generation.
Okay.
So we all moved out, and we are still continuing our businesses. We are still running our schools and all of that. So my formal training happened in I think 2000. Yeah, around 2003 or 2001 or 2.
Okay.
I started learning Karnatic music.
Okay.
Under Dr. Hamsini Nagendra. So, and then I practiced music, and then shifted to Karnataka Kalashri Vidwan Tirumala Srinivas Chamisa. So I still continue learning from him. So that was my Karnatic training in music, vocal. And Kathak, what happened, I was a street dancer. I was a break dancer, hip hop dancer.
Okay.
So I was very much enticed by Michael Jackson and Hrithik Roshan. So I wanted to be like them.
Okay.
So I was doing everything possible to have all the eyeballs on me. So hip hop and neck stand, headstand, this, that. I used to do everything, and I was also one of the lead dancers in my college, school, and everywhere. So in one of the family functions, my Kathak guru, also my Chikama, my Chachi, she saw me, Nirupama auntie, so Nirupama ma'am, Nirupama Rajendra. She saw me and she said, you are learning Kathak. You should come and learn Kathak. So she physically, lifted all of us, the cousins. She made sure that we attended her classes. So we started learning Kathak. I was 14 or 15 when I started learning Kathak. And I trained under her and also Rajendra sir for 12-13 years. So I was traveling with them, performing with them. So Kathak was that. And then now I am learning Kathak in Delhi under Pandit Rajendra Gangani ji, Jaipur Gharanas Maestro.
Okay.
So from 2017 I am learning under him. So now I am very fortunate that I'm teaching students, and my students are performing, and this is my Kathak journey. And Harikatha happened when I was 19, and it was accidental.
Okay.
It was not at all there in my mind. It was not a thought, because till date I have not seen a Harikatha performance. I mean, I've seen a few shows of Vishaka Haribhagini, but otherwise, or Prema Pandurangi ji, but Harikatha, the actual the Naradiya Parampara, where you stand, you dance, you talk, everything done by one person.
But were you not, because your family used to do Harikatha, didn't you not?
No, I have not seen.
Nobody.
I have not seen my father perform Harikatha, because by the time I was born, he had stopped performing Harikatha.
Okay. What about uncles and?
None.
Nobody.
None. It came only to my father.
Okay.
And he stopped performing, and then because he had some issue with his throat, and then he had to stop performing. Then unknowingly it came to me.
Okay.
It was surprising. I still remember the day when Wipro, one of the prime persons of Wipro, his son was doing a documentary on sacred art forms of India.
Okay.
And he had chosen Harikatha for it.
Okay.
So they had approached my father to get an interview, to shoot an interview, and also to show how Harikatha actually was supposed to be.
Okay.
And I was playing cricket happily outside, and my father called me inside. He said, these people, they are doing so and so documentary, they are doing this project, and I want you to perform Harikatha. And I was totally into the match. I said okay, and then I went. So then I had only a week's time to shoot. So he trained me. He said, this is a very famous Harikatha plot that your grandfathers used to do. And then he told me about it. He gave me the
What was the plot?
That was called Airavata, the story of Gajagori Vrata.
Okay.
Where it's a very hilarious script. I mean, you will roll on the floor laughing. It's amazing. I mean, it's 100 stand-up comedies at once.
Wow.
So I did this just like a brief of 20 minutes, and they shot the video, and I think it was presented, and later on, one of the family friends who had attended the documentary shoot, he was very much enticed, and he said, you should do a show. You should resume Harikatha. You should start Harikatha again. So I was like, okay. So I started performing, and I gave many shows, and one of the first shows of mine was in front of stalwarts of different walks of life. We had Sarvottam Das, Achyut Das, Keshav Das's brother. From the dance fraternity, we had Maya Didi, we had Bannanja Govindacharya as an audience for my first show, for public appearance. And Shatawat and Dr. Ganesh sir was there, and Dr. Ramal Partsarthi, Vidya Bhushanji, and all top people of Bangalore were there.
It's all scholars.
All scholars from different walks of life. Not just dance or music. They were from spirituality, from drama, from many other fields. And this happened at Abhinava at Nirupama Ma'am's and Rajendra Sir's studio. So that was my first public show. And after that, it was too overwhelming for me because I didn't even have a clue. Because I was young and I didn't have a clue as to how great these people were. It was very natural for me. I started doing it. I mean, Praveen Dira was my tabla sati. Gurumurti Vaidyaji was my tabla sati. Praveen Dira was my harmonium sati.
Wow.
So this went on for a few days, a few performances. And unfortunately, after 1.5 years of constant performances, I lost my voice.
Oh, okay.
So I had to stop performing Harikatha. It was
because of the strain?
Because of the strain.
Okay.
And also probably now if I look back, I think the training that is needed for an art form like Harikatha is different because you're dancing, you're acting, you're talking, you're singing, you're doing everything. Multiple things at once. I mean, it is classical Michael Jackson where you also talk. So it was very strenuous for me, and I never sipped a single drop of water. During the course of my performance. So that had a very negative impact on my vocal cords, on my throat muscles, and for 3 months I was not able to talk properly, and this went on and on and on, and even today I'm kind of struggling, and there were many shows where I have taken medications and painkillers before going on stage. So it was very painful for me to continue performing Harikatha. But I believe because I didn't choose it, the art form chose me, and I believe it is so beautiful, it is so fulfilling. In spite of all the pain I go through, in spite of all because people don't know about this, the struggles that I go through. After I perform, I see people crying, I see people laughing, people are so satisfied, so satiated and so fulfilled, and when they come and talk to me, my throat will be singing with pain, and people come and they say, I am going through these problems in my life, and you help me heal them. After all this, I feel it is worth it. All the problem that I am going through, I think it's all worth it. And it is not, it's Kabbanada Kadle. It's very hard to digest. This art form is not easy. It's very hard to digest, and if I have to continue performing, then I will have to repair myself. I'll have to make myself stronger because it's a very powerful energy, and to contain that energy, you need to be extra powerful.
Right.
So this is what I think now, and I am now planning to do a course on Harikatha. In association with Art of Living, Bangalore.
That's nice.
So we are doing a course on Harikatha and creating a script for it, a syllabus for it.
Nice.
Because there is no Lakshana Grantha on Harikatha. Like how we have Natya Shastra, we don't have Lakshana Grantha for Harikatha. So our Puranas, our stories are our syllabus. So syllabi. So based on that, we'll have to create some work and some module which can be taken ahead.
So let me go back to that incidents that you mentioned. Somebody came with the idea of a documentary. Now you're being very modest in how you sort of explain that you are playing cricket and then you said okay, and then you did a show for them. I mean, definitely you must have been so good that there was somebody else who said okay, let's do a first show with all these scholars in front of you. So they would have seen that this is something which is, out of the world. And that definitely would have happened. You just said it in a very casual way, but I'm sure. But I would like to understand. Yes, it came naturally to you, but even in terms of knowing the Vedas, the Puranas, that training must have happened when you're.
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
So.
I'm sure that it was not geared towards Harikatha, but
it was a natural schooling that happened.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Vidyapita for Vedic knowledge and learning.
Okay.
So the Madhva Parampara of Sarvamula Granthas to understand Dvaita philosophy. Because mostly this is done by Harikatha, is done by Dvaita lineage, legacy.
Okay.
So it is important for me to understand. That's how I start. See, Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Parama Gurubhyo Namah Srimad Ananda Tirtha Bhagavad Padacharyebhyo Namah. My Harikatha starts with saluting to Madhvacharya. So
Dvaita philosophy, just to explain, they considers supreme as one entity and self as another entity.
Self as another entity.
That is Dvaita philosophy.
That is the Dvaita philosophy. There is Bheda.
Yeah.
Madhvacharya says there is Bheda in everything.
Yeah.
Jiva Bheda, Jiva Paramatma Veda. There is Bheda in everything, and the whole purpose is to go and get united.
Yeah.
That is the purpose. So,
and the opposite of it, or probably not the other aspect of it, is the Advaita philosophy, which considers everything is one.
Everything is one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Go on.
So I was going through my training there, and my music training was anyway continuing, and my dance training also was going on. So it was a boon for me that I was trained in both music and dance. So in my Harikatha, I could incorporate dance, I could incorporate drama, because I also have a background of theatre. So enactment, talking, music, dance, everything came in handy. So it worked out for me. And as you said, probably, see, I was extremely naive. I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't even want to invest in knowing about anything. Right. I was just, I'm getting a show, I'm working for this, I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm practicing, I'm doing it. That's all it is. So, and I was very grateful. The very first time I did, I was grateful. I didn't have the angst of it, or the thought that, I'm able to perform, I'm doing this. I didn't have that, not even for a single minute, single second. So,
nor did you have that I can make this big, earn money out of it.
Even today I don't have that. And I don't want to have that, because see, you have been chosen to do it, and also he has given you some hurdles. That, as I told you before, I need to strengthen myself. When I say strengthening myself, it is not just physical. It is also spiritually. I mean, you'll have to cleanse your aura. You'll have to make yourself spiritually so strong that you can endure an art form like Harikatha and give it back to the world. But having said that, see, very beautifully, the Lakshanas of Harikatha exponent, Ganesha Bhagavatar, the only person who has written a grantha on the Kirtanacharya from Kashi in Sanskrit, he says the Lakshanas of Harikatha exponent, he says, Laghu Lobi. He says you need to, let's say you do everything for free. That should not be the case. The value of Harikatha will drop.
Right.
You add a value to it, because even you need to take care of your body, you need to take care of your voice, you need to take care of your life. So Dehave Degula anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಹಾಗೆ. So both Sharira and Sharira are important. So for that you need to be Laghu Lobi. He says you need to be Lobi, but Laghu Lobi, light. You should not expect too much. But whatever is needed, you should just take that. That is what the Haridasas also say.
Right.
As per Haridasas, the Lakshana of a Harikatha, the attributes of a Harikatha exponent is ಸಾಲ ದೆನನು ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡೆನು ಸಾಲ ದೆನನು ನಾಳೆ ಗಿಡನು ಶ್ರುತಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಪುರಾಣವನ್ನು ನಂಬುವೆನು ಅಂತ. ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡೆನು, ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್. ಸಾಲ ದೆನನು, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ನೆವರ್ ಸೇ, ಓ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್. Naale gidanu. I'll not think about my future. I'm just living in the moment. Shruti Shastra Puranamana nambuvenu. So this is what the Haridasas say. This is the lakshana of attributes of a Harikatha exponent. So you should be laghulobi is what he says. So keeping that in mind, I think to add value to it, because back then when my grandfathers used to perform, it was the Arati. After the Harikatha, Arati was done and the Arati plate went to the audience and the audience poured in money. So patronage has always been there. But the plus point of Harikatha is it was not a Rajashraya. It was Lokashraya. So a Harikatha exponent did not depend on a Raja. Even today we don't depend on government. Because for us the Ashraya Datas are Loka.
People themselves.
The audience. So this is the only art form which is Lokashraya and not Rajashraya. But dance or Kathak also, see, Kathak is also a Harikatha format. Now it has become a dance format, but Katha kahe so Kathak kahave. Katha telling, storytelling or format was Kathak. And now it has become a mere dance form, and it is the only classical art form where you can find the dancer constantly speak and interact with people.
Right.
That is because of the Katha tradition. So
that is where you draw parallels between Harikatha and Harikatha.
It was purely, see, this happened. Dr. Purandara very beautifully says, this was extremely, very, very flourished art form. And in Vedas, in the early 10th century, they literally killed all the Katha tradition men, and they took the girls as slaves. And they were forced to perform Kathak like any other like not a respected art form in private chambers.
Right.
It was during the time of Akbar. Only during the time of Akbar where Akbar understood that you should give importance to the majority also here. So he brought them from the private chambers to the courts. So imagine 500 years of constant invasions and constant diluting
that trauma is
trauma.
Yeah.
So let's say 25 generations.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, even today when I sit back and think, now it is so wealthy. Now it is so nice, this art form Kathak. But if I look back, I still think we are 10% or 15% of what it probably might have been. So similarly, Harikatha also, which happened in temples and very places with good sanctity, because this demanded certain class of people. This demanded certain class of understanding, certain maturity. So this used to happen in very specific places. Harikatha was not a stadium art form. It was not for an auditorium setup.
Yeah.
It was for temple tradition. It is very intimate. I mean, it has to happen at different houses. Even today for Navaratri, I have gone to houses and performed Harikatha.
Okay.
So I think that is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You do door-to-door service.
Right.
As Narada says, Sthapaishyami gehe jane to bhakti. Bhagavata starts like this, Padma Purana and Bhagavata. There is this Bhakti Devi who visits Vrindavana and she becomes youthful.
Okay.
But she has two sons, Jnana and Vairagya,
okay,
who are very old, unable to walk. And Narada looks at her and asks her, what is this? So she says, I am the mother of these two. Your name is Bhakti, but you are so youthful. You look like you are in your teens, and look at your sons. They are unable to move. Jnana, Vairagya are like rotten already. So Narada tells her, this is the power of Vrindavana. The moment anyone steps in, Bhakti becomes youthful. So, and he promises her, he says, I will take you, I will sthapayishyami tvam, tasmin jane gehe jane. I'm going to make sure that anya dharman tiraskritya puraskritya mahotsavan. He says, I am going to make sure that I'm going to take and instill bhakti in everyone's heart, everyone's house. This is what Narada says. That is Naradiya Parampara, where you go, you lead a nomadic life, you have no house, you go to every house, every single house, and you instill values. So this is the Naradiya Parampara, and Narada is our main, because it is also believed that Purandara Dasaru was an incarnation of Narada.
Okay.
It is said in the
that is again Purana. Go back to the other timeline.
Garuda Purana, it is said Purandara iti khyata tattva margam pradarshayyan. So he says in Garuda Purana it is mentioned, Narado Vishnu Sevartan Vayuvavesha Yutojani Purandara iti khyata tattva marga pradarshayan. So Narada with Vayu Avesha, he in Kali Yuga comes as Purandara.
Wow.
So, and that is the reason we call him Abhinava Narada. He is the avatara of Narada Muni. And he also went to every single house, Purandara Dasaru. So this is the, this is the background of Harikatha. So this is the beauty and attributes of Harikatha.
I feel so proud and lucky that I am able to talk to someone like you, that you belong to such a, I can't even say such a multi-ocean of lineages of Guru Shishya Parampara and also the bloodlines from. I'm really lucky to have even speaking to you like this.
No, I believe I am the luckiest that way, to have been chosen, to have been born in this family.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely yes, but then you're continuing it. That's more important, right? I mean, yes, you also mentioned that you wanted to do hip hop. You wanted to copy Hrithik Roshan and all that. From that to what you're doing right now is a big transition, right?
Right.
Because I'm not saying that is wrong or bad or anything.
Yeah.
But it has got a certain shelf life.
Correct.
That path. So that's probably the next segment what we can go into, that youngsters of today, what they can learn from Harikatha, or what can they learn from someone like you, that you had chosen a path which had probably has a shelf life, where you go there and you don't after that there is nothing, that it becomes very predictable, or money and material is the only goal probably there. I don't know. I'm just putting out a thought here. But then you found a path, and then now you are probably wanting to go deep and deeper into this. And also it's a service, like you said.
Right.
Because the joy that you find in people's tears and the joy that they find, you find yourself there.
Yeah.
So it's like a service that you're finding. So for the youngsters of today, what can they learn from Harikatha, and how can they access to a event like this?
So now now there are many people who do Harikatha, and my only request to the current generation would be question. You question everything, but just don't believe in something just because one of your professors told you this, or maybe your friend or someone whom you look up to,
or the media tells you,
yeah, or the movie tells you, or implies in a certain way. So do not take it. Do not take anything in face value. If you find something is not, be it about Rama, how Rama treated Sita. Have you actually gone through Ramayana?
Yeah.
To comment on Rama or to comment on Sita, it's a very dicey situation. So my only request to the current generation would be, please dive deep, dig deep. If you have issues, if you have questions, if you want to protest, learn and then protest.
Yeah.
Just don't do it for the sake of it, and it is not at all a cool quotient now. I mean, if the current generation thinks it is cool to be like that, I'm very sorry, it is not at all cool to be like that. So
it's very shallow.
I mean, Osho very beautifully says, you do whatever you want. You give up on your life. Till death you do it. Only if you find some fulfillment in it. I mean, maybe the society can tell you that there is nothing in this. It's very shallow. It's, if you hate, let's say you hate Rama, you hate Krishna, you hate this, our ancestral works, you hate everything about this land. You hate it. You hate it to death. But in that process, make sure that you learn why you hate it. You just can't hate. I mean, having just a feeling without a thought, without a reasoning, is like containing water and milk or anything without a container.
Or just because somebody told you.
Yeah, right. I mean, you've been, let's say you've been cultured that way.
Yeah.
You've been told that way. You're
conditioned.
You're conditioned that way. So, but if you do it without logic, without reasoning, without rational, to support your argument, then there's no container. So there is no fulcrum which is supporting you, basically. So have that fulcrum in your life. Have that you hate anyone to the core, it's okay. But have valid points to hate someone. And you should know both sides.
Yeah.
So, and that is where Harikatha comes into picture.
And I would also probably add that always refer to the original.
Always refer to the original. You don't need interpretations.
Yeah.
Because see, I always say this. I mean, maybe Rama had water in mud pot, and that becomes wine because of grapevine. So I always say this. So you have to go to, if you're talking about Ramayana, you talk about Valmiki's Ramayana. Correct. You don't talk about any other Ramayanas. You don't talk about the interpretations. You don't talk about the translations. Nothing.
Yeah.
You have so many people who are well read, who have Ramayana, doing Tandava on their tongues.
Yeah.
You go and talk to them, learn from them.
Yeah.
Who's stopping you? Analyzing, understanding why you're feeling what you're feeling is important. And I think Harikatha is one medium that enables you to think. And according to me, the ability to think is real education. Not remembering things and not reading 100 books, 200 books. There's nothing in that. But how much have you learned out of it?
Right.
So what do you think, and what is your viewpoint?
Right.
And what is your perception of what you've read? And that is important. And I kind of feel that is absent in the majority of people that I have connected with these days, the current generation. And I would insist, and also I would request the current generation to keep your minds open. There is always good things coming to you.
Yeah.
Just be open, and Harikatha is that one medium which will make you think. And you listen to a story and you think about that story, you contemplate, you go back home and you're always constantly thinking about that. Okay, he said this, and why has this happened? I mean, if it has really happened, why did it happen like that?
Yeah.
Let's say Govardhana story. Did Krishna really lift a mountain? Is it humanly possible?
Yeah. No, so I have this, I think I posted a story or something that people do are fascinated and are so attracted by all the the binge watching series that come over, like, or even the films that come over, like Harry Potter, or what is that, Lord of the Rings, and or GOT or WOT or whatever that is, right? That they are okay with. But when it comes to Ramayana, Mahabharata, and say, okay, Krishna lifted that's illogical. That reaction. Why that reaction? When you can follow a Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, if that is also fictional, this is also, I mean, if that is considered fictional and you can still make believe kind of for yourself, correct, why not this, right?
See, this is what is conditioning. When our doctors, Ayurvedic doctors, when they say this is good, I mean, coconut oil is good. Have coconut oil. Like, till recently people opposed having coconut oil. Yeah. Okay, but when our Ayurvedic doctors, a brown-skinned man with spectacles and no hair, when he talks, you have an issue. But when you have a girl with beautiful long hair from the west with a dimple, if she's talking and if she says this is good, you admit it, you agree. Yeah.
No, that's our own conditioning. Yeah,
this is the conditioning. I mean, this is what has happened, and we are carrying that forward. Yeah. See, this is what happened with the Devadasis also. Right. We were conditioned that way. We were conditioned that charcoal is not good for your teeth. Yeah. We were conditioned to do multiple things and to reject a few things of our culture, of our practice. And I think this is purely because of the conditioning. When you see Harry Potter, when you see any other Western, I mean, I'm a fan of their crafting. Yeah. Because I am a big time movie buff and I love watching, binge watching. So when you watch their crafting, I have learned from their crafting. Yeah. And I adapt the same for my work, my productions. Like 18 Days or Kathastra or any other productions that I've done. We have, adapted the same thing, same kind of crafting in this. But as you said, you should not ignore the Atma of it. The soul of it is different. When you talk about our Bhagavata Purana or any other Puranas where you're talking about stories of Krishna lifting a mountain or dancing on a 1,000-hooded snake, you will not give a thought of Adhyatma in it. Yeah. You just take it as a fairy tale. You just take it as a story. I mean, how many of them have actually thought in current generation that Kalinga signifies the Kundalini Shakti, and at the age of 8, Krishna danced on the hood of it, holding the tail. At the age of 8, and then he lifted the Meru. Meru Danda is the spine.
Yeah.
So he lifted the Meru Danda, and Indra is the lord of Indriyas. And he poured for 7 days. Okay, so
it's all
chakras.
Symbolic.
It's all, most of it is symbolic. You have to, when you read a Purana, there are different ways to read a Purana. You should not just read it as history.
Right.
So even Mahabharata, Vyasa says itihasam tata kavyam puranam cha kalo bhuvi. So he says this is itihasa, this is history, this is Purana, this is Kavya. There is also scope for Kavya in this. You know, there is, but you have to understand. I mean, if I see Krishna lifting a mountain, I will not be surprised. If I see him physically lifting a mountain, I will not be surprised, because I think it is too less for a personality like Krishna. You know, Krishna Tattva, the principle of Krishna is so big, so vast, that Meru Parvata is what? It's a speck for him.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. When you try to understand, analyze different viewpoints of reading a subject, because there will be, everything is in gray. I mean, nothing is in black and white. I mean, everything is in gray, and everything has a different meaning, has undercurrents. You need to go through that, understand that, discuss more and more. I mean, podcasts like this, it's very, very important.
Right.
Because this kind of, I think, many podcasts that I listen to, they're all eye-openers.
Right.
When you listen to them, you're like, okay, this is the intention, okay, this is the objective, okay, this is how you're supposed to think.
Correct.
So this, see, the stimuli of making someone respond is important. Making someone think is important.
Yeah.
So to develop that response, I think the stimulus is Harikatha. It's one of the strongest stimulus. So I think that's how it should be treated. I think people should really embrace Harikatha and crown this art form, because it's very difficult to practice.
Right.
Extremely difficult to practice. I know how strenuous it is.
Yeah.
To just be on stage, talk continuously, to sing, to dance, and to convince people without any fancy lighting, without any fancy
just
sound
by your
system.
body.
It is just by your content.
Yeah.
Just by your content, and that is completely satvika.
Right.
Completely satvika, because you will see people experiencing goosebumps, you'll see people crying, you'll see people laughing hard. So this is satvika.
Yeah.
So, and to add the accessories of rajas to something that is so sattvic is a challenge. And that is what we need to do.
Sharat, it has been so fantastic talking to you. I mean, I am mind blown by so many myths that I myself debunked, in terms of, because what I learnt about even Pujya Purandara Dasaru is also that I've always seen him in the films like a poor man, right? I never knew that he was such a rich man. The numbers that you gave was like mind blowing. Like, really? I mean, I didn't know that. I thought he was always a poor man, and that it's sort of also the imagery that gets created, that anybody who is into spiritual activities are always poor. That's not the case, right?
Not the case.
Right? And Saraswati can reside where Lakshmi is also there, right?
Of course.
Again, that is the conditioning that has been given, that both cannot go hand in hand. That's the biggest sort of myth that you sort of burst. And also, I am so lucky that the lineage that has come through, I mean, you can go back to even Narada Muni, right? And from there to Purandara Dasa, and from there to so many generations, and then finally somebody like you is continuing it. Wow, that's like amazing. That's, I don't know how many, 15,000 years or 50,000 years, or I don't know, 1 million years kind of history and lineage that you are sort of carrying forward. It's like, I can't even fathom that kind of a thing. And I get to choose to make a podcast with you. That is even more, I find myself so lucky, and so gratitudes to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And like how you mentioned, I'm also grateful. See, I am aware of the fact that I belong to this lineage, and this is my humblest prayer every time. ಈ ಒಂದು ಪರಂಪರೆಗೆ ನನ್ನಿಂದ ಚ್ಯುತಿ ಬರದೇ ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ. Because ultimately we all are humans, and we are going to commit something that is not good for our legacy or lineage, and that is bound to happen if you are human. So that is the only prayer I have, that you've put me in this boat, and please sail me through.
That's so nice.
So, and I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful, fortunate to have been belonging to this lineage and this family, such wonderful parents and amazing circle. And thank you so much. I mean, having people like you, the real connoisseurs, real rasikas who actually want to project the stories, the atma of our culture and our art forms, and give it to the society. I think that is very, very important. And thank you once again. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. And I wanted to, like, if someone wants to pursue something like this, I'm sure you had the lineage and you had the family backing to that. But if someone wants to really take this up, like with no background or anything, you were talking about the course that you were doing.
Correct.
So is it ready? Is it accessible?
We are working on it. Very soon it will be accessible. I think
it will be
January.
Through Art of Living,
or through Art of Living. In the month of January we are planning, Jan or February.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it will be fun. So you'll learn how to. It will be in multiple languages. So I'll be giving them the script. So they'll have a model where I have performed, and they can watch it a number of times. They'll have access to the material.
Nice.
And they can present it in their own way, because Harikatha is extremely, see, it's an opinion. I mean, some people are good at dance, some people are good at singing, some people are good at talking. So if someone is good at dance, he can incorporate more dance movements in his storytelling. If someone is good at singing, he can make it more musical. If someone is good at just talking, you can talk and you can have people to assist you and help you. So
based on your capabilities and talents.
Correct. Based on your strengths and your plus points, you can present a story. So, but then they'll have a model. They'll have the history and outlook of Harikatha, based on which they can further take this ahead.
So anybody who wants to learn this art form and learn the skills of it, where to look up and where to go. So thank you so much, Sharat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was lovely.
Same here. Thanks.